Shalom, all praise to Yahweh Shemel Shah, double line to the Apostle GMS. This is Anna Allah coming at you in the video. And in this video, I'm going to be focusing on the topic of, how knowledge can be deceitful. And it can cause you to think that you're greater than what you really are. There's a ton of scriptures that I can get on this, but I'm only going to touch a few. And I'm going to give you different types, scenarios. This is the book of 1 Corinthians 8:1. Not as touching things offered unto idols. We know that we all have knowledge. Knowledge puffeth up, but charity edifieth. But that's the point I wanted to get. Knowledge puffeth up. Look at the word puffeth.
Strong's G 5448. Fusiao.
Fusiao. To make natural, to cause a thing to pass into nature. To inflate, blow up, to cause to swell up, to puff up, make proud, to be puffed up, to bear oneself loftily, be proud. So knowledge puffeth up. Knowledge can make you proud, right? So let's say you're a person that acquires a lot of knowledge. It could be knowledge of the world. You know about different science. You know about history. You know about agriculture. You know about, cosmology. Outer space. You may know a lot about this truth. But that knowledge can cause you to get puffed up. It can cause you to get engulfed in pride. Okay? Proverbs 16:18. Pride go before destruction, and a haughty spirit before a fall. So right before pride leads into destruction, and a haughty spirit leads into a fall. So that's what it's telling you. Pride go before destruction, and a haughty spirit before a fall. So before your destruction is the person that was proud. Before your fall is the person that was haughty. Which being prideful and being haughty is really the same thing. So that can lead to your destruction. Okay? Because you got people out there that have acquired knowledge, but it has deceived them and has made them think that they're greater than what they really are. Knowledge can become deceitful. It can make you think that you're right when you're really wrong. Because you think that you got the knowledge. It could be a scenario where you're doing something that's not right. But you may try to go into the scripture to find a way to justify it. Or come up with some kind of excuse. Oh, well, this time this situation happened. It's because the knowledge that you've acquired is deceitful. It's deceiving you. You think that the level of knowledge that you accumulated is making you think that you're right when you really may be wrong. Jeremiah 17:9. The heart is deceitful above all things, and desperately wicked. Who can know it? So the heart, meaning the mind, is deceitful above all things, and it's desperately wicked. Who can know it? So what happens is you're deceiving your own self. But ultimately, it's really Satan that's deceiving you. But the word devil means deceiver, making you think that you're greater than what you really are. It makes you think that you're so great to the point where you feel like you can't take correction, where you feel like, you have no faults for you to admit. You always try to one up somebody. Yeah, I did this, but you did that this time. You know what I'm saying? Instead of accepting you're wrong. That could happen, man. It's happened before. You may know a lot of scriptures. You may be an eloquent speaker. But that can be deception. The level of knowledge you have could be deceiving you, making you think that you're greater than what you really are. Sirach 3:18, also known as the book of Ecclesiasticus in the Apocrypha. The greater thou art, the more humble thyself. See? The greater you are, the more you gotta humble yourself. That goes back into the whole thing about being humble. That goes back to the whole thing about knowledge puffeth up. It puffeth up and makes you feel inflated. It can make you have an inflated ego. Yeah, you may have great knowledge, but you gotta humble yourself, because the greater knowledge you have, the more you should acknowledge that it was the Most High Yahweh Shemel Shah that is giving you that knowledge. Okay? And thou shalt find favor before the Lord. And you're going to find favor before the Lord because you're a great man, but you humble yourself. You have great knowledge, but you humble yourself. Don't the scripture say in the book of Corinthians, why do you boast? Look at that. 1 Corinthians 4:7. For who maketh thee to differ from one another? And what hast thou that thou didst not receive? Now, if thou didst receive it, why doest thou glory as if thou hast not received it? So, what makes you different from anybody else? That's what he's saying. Which this whole thing in chapter 10 is good, but I want to deal with the point. Right to the point. This is good too. For who maketh thee to differ from one another? So what makes you greater than somebody else? And what hast thou that thou didst not receive? What do you got that you didn't receive? In other words, everything you got was given unto you. So you acting like you're so much greater than the next guy, but everything you have, you received. You didn't require it on your own. The Most High had given it unto you. Now, if thou didst receive it, why doest thou glory as if thou hadst not received it? So if it was given unto you, why are you glorying as if you got it on your own? Why are you glorying as if you didn't receive it? In other words, you got to humble yourself. Just because you got knowledge, you got to humble yourself. These are the ways that they were thinking back then. And guess what? People still think this way now, thousands of years later. Don't think because you've been in the truth for a long time, or because you think you could quote scriptures off the top of your head and whatever. Oh yeah, I quote scriptures off the top of my head, but this high ranking brother, he don't quote scriptures off the top of his head like me. I think I speak a little bit better than he do. And I've been in the camp for 4 years, and he been in the camp for 8 years. Or his guy is older. I think I've known more breakdowns than him. So you start thinking you're greater than what you really are. You don't know what kind of gift that man got. You don't know who that man might be in reincarnation. And you might be a guy that's gonna fall out. Okay? So you always gotta take these things into account. Knowledge can be deceitful, it can make you think you're greater than what you really are. It can cause you to be engulfed in pride to the point when you feel like you have no faults. You feel like you don't gotta admit your faults. You feel like you perfect. You feel like the things that you're doing aren't off. The things you're doing aren't sins. And then eventually leads to you doing too much. And you know what I mean? And you looking like a hypocrite. You got all this knowledge and he don't know that. So you have all of this knowledge and all of this experience. But it's the simple things that you overlook. Oh yeah, I've been in the camp and I did all of this and told all these scriptures and so on and so forth. But something like, what you can't do on a Sabbath, you doing on a Sabbath. But that's something you know when you first come in. Hey, I can deal with this woman this one time on a Sabbath. We under grace. Because it was this one time when I made a mistake and, cooked something on the Sabbath, and, I believe the Most High had mercy on me for that. So if we, I worked on the Sabbath, before, I had to work. So what's wrong with, and that's both going off. So why not have sex with this woman on the Sabbath? So you're deceiving yourself, thinking that you know more than what you really know. Oh, this instance happened in the scripture, and that person did it, or they did another, not talking about having sex with the Sabbath or anything. This particular thing happened in the scripture when let's say it's something like how can I think? Let's say it's an instance where I can't really think of anything off the top of my head. But there's an instance in the scripture when the Apostle Paul did this, or when the Apostle Paul may have done that. But you don't really understand the context of why it occurred that way. And you trying to flip it and bounce it. Oh, David did this, Paul did that. So I can really, I can do this. It may not be the same thing, but it's something similar. You know what I mean? And you go into the scriptures trying to justify stuff that you can't even justify. You know what I mean? The scripture when Paul condemned Peter to his face, and then you think you can go, and I'm going, because Peter was over the Apostle Paul. I'm going to condemn that elder to his face. Peter did that, and you way out of line. James 1:22. Be doers of the word and not hearers only, deceiving your own selves. So you got to be a doer of the word, not just a hearer. Because if you're just a hearer, you deceive your own self. You're hearing the knowledge, but you're not doing what the word. You're hearing the word, but you're not doing what the word tells you to do. You deceive your own selves. It's more than just hearing it. You got to practice it. You know. 1 John 1:8. If we say that we have no sin, we deceive ourselves, and the truth is not in us. So you got guys that looking at themselves and think that they perfect. Some guys actually think they perfect, and that they not off. You call out one of their faults. Well, there was this one time you did that. But that one time, try to find any way to cover their own behind. But that ain't the right way to look at this thing, man. You got guys that's like that. They got a certain amount of knowledge and they think they're greater than what they really are. And they think they're in the right when they're really in the wrong. So you got to be very careful. Galatians 6:3. For if a man think himself to be something, when he is nothing, he deceives himself. So you think you're greater than what you really are, but you're really nothing. You deceiving your own self, man. You deceiving your own self. You got guys that think they're somebody and they really ain't nobody. They've been in the camp for a couple years, but it's only a matter of time till they phase out. It's only a matter of time. It's only a matter of time. You know? Everybody ain't gonna make it to the end. Gotta keep that in mind. Just pray Yahweh Shem Yahshua, you're not one of those men that don't make it to the end. When I say make it to the end, I mean that's not, you hope the most out of that. You're not one of the men that don't be delivered, because some have died in the faith. And they're gonna already be resurrected. They're gonna be on the chariots. They're gonna already have been, on the chariots with the Lord when he returns. As we in the book of Thessalonians, we're gonna those that are dead in Yahushua, dead in Yahushua shall rise first. 1 Corinthians 3:18. Let no man deceive himself. If any man among you seemeth to be wise in this world, let him become a fool that he may be wise. So don't deceive yourself thinking you're greater than what you really are. If any man among you seemeth to be wise in this world, now they could be, wise in the science and knowledge of this world. History, science, and agriculture, animals, whatever it may be. Let him become a fool that he may be wise. So you got to unlearn that. And now that you unlearn the wisdom of this world, you look at it as a fool, but yet you become wise because you've gathered or have you were given the knowledge, wisdom, understanding of Yahweh Shem Yahshua. So you're wise in this world, in the knowledge of this world, the philosophies of this world, the teachings of this world, the things that's taught in these schools and these institutions, so-called institutions of higher learning. You look at as being wise in this world, but you gotta become a fool and unlearn all of those things, so that you may be wise in Yahweh Shem Yahshua and His word. Okay? For the wisdom of this world is foolishness with the Most High. It's foolishness. Those things don't lead to salvation. The Most High is a concern with that. If we know anything of this world, it's all things that we just tie in with the truth. Like we can go into history and tie it in with the Bible. And things of that nature. But we don't place our value on the knowledge of the world. Because ultimately it's the word of Yahweh Shem Yahshua that's going to lead to our salvation. We're wise in the word of Yahweh Shem Yahshua. For it is written, he take up the wise in their own craftiness. So when someone who claims themselves to be wise, the Most High is going to take you in your own craftiness.